Welcome to the Tech Mobility Podcast.
I'm Ken Chester. On the docket, a review of the 2024 Toyota BZ4X EV, a question, would you stay in this tiny home? And finally, a game changer coming from Ram. From Ram. Really? To add your voice to the conversation, call or text the Tech Mobility Hotline. That number, 872-222-9793. Or you can email the show directly, talk@techmobility.show. Be sure to check us out on social media, our YouTube channel, and our two podcasts, the Tech Mobility Podcast and Tech Mobility Topics. And that's wherever you enjoy podcasts. We are all over the place. Some different, I think at least 20 different podcast platforms. You can find both the Tech Mobility Podcast and Tech Mobility Topics. Check them out and enjoy. From the Tech Mobility News Desk, I want to talk about Scout Motors. Scout Motors. For those of you that may not know what Scout Motors is, let me stop and kind of take you back to take you forward. Volkswagen Group acquired the Scout name when they bought the heavy truck part of Navistar back a few years ago. As a result, the Scout was a SUV built by International from about 1960 to about 1980. It was a go anywhere, do anything Jeep alternative. They were competing against the Jeep and they were competing against the Ford Bronco at the time. And they used to talk about these that anything else is just a car. And they built a lot of them. And they were American made. They were built in Fort Wayne, Indiana. All that time. Volkswagen, in its current environment, wanted to build a truck, wanted to build an EV, wanted to build an SUV, resuscitated the Scout name, but made it a separate company under the Volkswagen Group umbrella. Complete different line, going to be American made, only not in Fort Wayne this time. They're going to actually be made, I believe, in South Carolina. And they expect that plant to be online, a brand spanking new plant in 2027. They're planning to build several different truck types, and they're taking a different approach. Bear in mind I said that it's a separate company under the Volkswagen umbrella. In other words, you're not going to find a Scout on the floor of your local Volkswagen dealer. That's not the plan. Their detailed roadmap to sell an electric SUV and pickup straight to American consumers. That's the plan. Basically, they want to adopt the Tesla model. I'm not sure that's the best way to go about it, but that's what they're aiming at. Eventually, they want to open 25 brand-owned rooftops in the United States, but they're not necessarily dealerships. And bear in mind, they're owned by the factory. I can tell you from history, down through the years, when the factory thought they knew more than the automobile dealers that sold for them, it always ended in disaster. So I'm not really sure where they're going with this. The first 25 locations will be in 16 major markets from New York to Miami and Seattle to San Diego. The 25 locations will either be Scout Studios, where customers shop and interact with a sales advisor. That sounds like a dealership to me. Or Scout Workshops, where service is performed, company officials say. The Scout-owned facilities will be standalone sites or in retail centers such as malls. There's another company that did malls, believe it or not, and that is the Mini Coopers, when they first came to the United States. And the reason why I know this is that until Des Moines got a Mini dealer back about 15 years ago, I had to go to Minneapolis in order to test drive a Mini. And at that time, the dealer was in a mall. They're just south and west of the city. So I remember seeing them on the floor in the mall. And they arranged, you could go out to the parking garage and test drive one and all that. Had to do all that. So I know that's a thing that they used to do, and then they've eventually built their own dealership. Scout has a lot on their plate. For those people who remember the original Scout, it was a can-do vehicle that did almost anything, bare bones, no excuses, no nonsense. Here you are, Volkswagen doesn't have any platform stateside that they could really use to do this. And they get one chance to get it right. And that is against companies that are not taking any prisoners. Rivian is not taking any prisoners. And they've been in production for a while. Ford, having come out with their EV truck, the Lightning, is amazing. And they ever get around to an electric version of the Bronco and Bronco Sport, these guys are in trouble. We've reported that Ram is in the wings with some stuff. Chevy has their full-size EV pickup. GMC has their several EV models that are in the marketplace right now. So I guess the primary question is there a place, if you're not going to help the Volkswagen dealers, which to me would have been the first thing you would want to do, is offer them because they don't really offer a truck. So that's the first thing, saying, okay, you're coming into the market, you're coming into the American market, you're going to offer an electric SUV and an electric pickup truck, but it's going to be standalone, and you're not going to enlist your existing dealer body in the Volkswagen network in the country. You're going to either sell them directly to consumers, and you're going to do it through brand-owned stores, Scout Studios. Yeah, as a man used to say, what could possibly go wrong with this? A lot. They believe, though, that they will have more success, efficiency, and opportunities with direct sales. So what are you saying? That the dealers all the millions and billions of dollars that franchise dealers, new vehicle dealers have spent over the last 100 years, that they haven't learned anything? That's kind of a slap in the face. Scout said it's targeting retail prices under $60,000 for both models. And like I said, they're looking at an SUV, electric SUV, and an electric pickup truck. And will forge one-to-one relationships with customers via an app that will handle the reservation, sales, delivery, and service with vehicle purchases completed in minutes. Let me break this down for you, Scout, so you understand this. Most people, particularly since you're new and nobody knows anything about you, they don't want to drive that thing. They don't want to experience that thing. They want a salesperson to explain some stuff. So you offering this via an app, that's fine, but bear in mind you said under $60,000. $60,000. If you want me to spend $60,000 on a brand I don't know nothing about, I don't even know if you got this right, I'm going to need a lot more than what you're offering right now. And here's the thing. The type of demographic, I know they're aiming at a younger crowd, but honestly, it's the old folks going to have the money, and we're the ones going to be there first. You may sell this to some Gen Xers and Gen Zers. Absolutely. But that's going to be at a higher level because they're in their prime income years and their prime family rearing years. So are they going to go out and spend $60,000 for an electric pickup on a brand that they're taking a chance on? I don't think so. If the SUV is compelling enough, they might buy that. But I don't think you're aiming at families. If you're going to stay somewhat true to the Scout legacy, you're not going that way. So who are you going for? The folks that you would have snagged have either already bought a Cybertruck, a Ford Lightning, or are getting ready to buy a Chevy Silverado EV, or one of the 30,000 folks that signed up for the Ram EV that's coming next year. Where is there room for you? Or they've already bought, or they're on a waiting list for a Rivian. Where are you? I don't know, because it does not talk about how many they expect to sell. They're building their own plant. They're going their own way. I think it's short-sighted, but we're going to see. I have not seen one. I have not driven one. I'm looking forward to doing both of those at some point in the future, in the next few years. It's going to come with a pretty robust warranty. But we'll see. We'll see. I just don't know if their approach is the right one. They believe it is. And the challenge is, we'll see what the public thinks. Coming up next, my impressions of the new 2024 Toyota BZ4X EV. You are listening to the Tech Mobility Show.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than AONmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. AONmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
Social media is the main place to be these days, and we are no exception. I'm Ken Chester, the Tech Mobility Show. If you enjoy my program, then you will also enjoy my weekly Facebook videos. From my latest vehicle reviews to timely commentary of a variety of mobility and technology-related topics, these short features are designed to inform and delight you. Be sure to watch, like, and follow us on Facebook. You can find us by typing the Tech Mobility Show in the search bar. Be sure to subscribe to our Facebook page. Social media is the place to be these days, and we're no exception. I'm Ken Chester of the Tech Mobility Show. If you enjoy my program, then you will also enjoy my weekly Instagram videos. From the latest vehicle reviews to timely commentary on a variety of mobility and technology-related topics, these short features are designed to inform and delight you. Be sure to watch, like, and follow us on Instagram. You can find us by typing the Tech Mobility Show in the search bar. For those of you that listen to podcasts, we have just the one for you. Hi, I'm Ken Chester. Tech Mobility Topics is a podcast where I upload topic-specific videos each week. Shorter than the full show, these bite-sized programs are just the thing, particularly if you're interested in a particular topic covered on the weekly radio show. From Apple Podcast to iHeartRadio and many podcast platforms in between, we got you covered. Just enter Tech Mobility Topics in the search bar wherever you listen to podcasts.
Maybe it's our rugged shift on the move four-wheel drive. Maybe it's our high-track independent suspension. Or maybe our powerful V6. Whatever the reason, 1993 was the 14th year in a row 4x4 buyers made Toyota the best-selling compact 4x4. Hey, maybe nobody wants to walk home from here. Toyota trucks, you just gotta love them.
You gotta love them because they are bulletproof. Toyota made their reputation in the 80s and 90s by building affordable cars that were bulletproof. They learned a lot. They learned it fast. And one of the ways Toyota did that, in the 80s, you could buy a compact truck from just about anybody. You could buy a compact truck from Mazda, Toyota, and a host of others. Not Honda, ironically enough, Nissan. And each of those trucks, bulletproof, awesome, inexpensive to buy, inexpensive to keep, and it seems like they were everywhere. They made their rep on trucks. The cars came later, actually. The all-new Toyota BZ4X. Not exactly a name that's easy to recall or pronounce, but the name does have meaning. BZ is for Beyond Zero Emissions, representing the nature of a battery electric vehicle. The number 4 means that it's derived from the equivalent size Toyota RAV4 crossover SUV, and the X describes it as a compact crossover SUV. So you got all that, right? First introduced as a concept at Auto Shanghai in 2021, the BZ4X is similar in size to the automaker's popular RAV4 compact crossover SUV, but is lower in height with a slightly longer wheelbase. Developed in conjunction with Subaru, the Solterra is a mechanical sibling, and we've done a review of the Solterra a few months back. The all-new pure EV rides on the automaker's E-TNGA platform. The North American market spec model was unveiled at the 2021 Los Angeles Auto Show, with sales beginning in mid-2022 as a 2023 model. And according to the automaker, The BZ designation is actually the name or an umbrella for 7 models that will be launched globally by next year. When developing the BZ4X, the engineering team looked to challenge conventions with its design. It balances unique, futuristic style while offering a familiar SUV package. Based on a design theme, high-tech and emotional, BZ4X is fit for a multifaceted lifestyle, offering originality that stands out in an urban cityscape coupled with the power of all-wheel drive for all-weather capability and confident on-road driving dynamics. So true. Available in 2 trim levels, and in front an all-wheel drive, power for the BZ4X is produced by a 71.4 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack for front-wheel drive that delivers 201 horsepower and a 72.8 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack that makes a combined 214 horsepower for all-wheel drive, and that's one electric motor driving each axle. Driving range for the models range between 222 miles to 252 miles, depending on trim level and drivetrain configuration. And this equates to a miles per kilowatt-hour range of 3.05 to 3.53 miles per kilowatt-hour. Let me stop right here, because you're not going to find this on a government website. You're not going to get this from the EPA. The reason, and I say it every time I do this, is because I think that the EPA's numbers are confusing, misleading, inaccurate, and wrong. What you want is kilowatt hours is the same as gallons of gasoline in a regular car. If you equate kilowatt hours of being your power, your energy, much the same way gasoline. So you figure 16 gallons of gasoline, in this case, 71.4 kilowatt hours of power. What you want to know when you're comparing EV to EV, how efficient is this EV when it uses a kilowatt hour of energy? Does it get me further than, say, another vehicle? Let me give you some perspective. Using the numbers I just gave you, on the top end would be a Lucid Air. It comes in at a little over 5 miles per kilowatt hour. On the other end of the spectrum is the Ford F-150 Lightning, which comes in at 1.8 to 2.3 miles per kilowatt hour, just to give you some perspective. But yes, I use those terms all the time, and I think they're much more accurate. Cargo capacity for this vehicle is 56.9 cubic feet with the second row seat folded flat. Here's what I liked about the vehicle. Like most EVs that I have driven over the last few years, the BZ4X is smooth, fluid, fast, and responsive. Underway, the vehicle delivers nimble handling and control. Inside the passenger cabin, the driver enjoys a good outward view thanks to the lower height of the firewall. Both the driver's seat and front passenger seat recline to a flat position. There are plenty of nooks and crannies throughout the cabin for storage with USB plugs for both front and rear. And as you may imagine, the cabin floor is flat, which facilitates entry and exit. Rear seat passengers enjoy decent legroom, with a cavernous cargo area adding to the vehicle's versatility. Displays, controls, and switchgear are user-friendly, with a presentation similar to the Toyota RAV4. During normal operation, there are 3 drive modes available, and that's Eco, Normal, and Snow. By selecting the X mode, the driver can optimize vehicle performance with a selection of one of several modes: Snow Dirt, Deep Snow Mud, or Grip Control. Here's what I didn't like about the vehicle. It's limited range, pure and simple. Even at 252 miles, extremes in weather and load will diminish that number. And if you don't have the ability to charge at home or at work, range is more of a function of how often you will have to use a public charger, especially if your commute is modest. The step-in height to the vehicle is high due to the battery pack, and there's no spare tire or traditional glove box, just some space under the center console. And the rear window needs a windshield wiper for better visibility. And finally, and this piece of technology is just vexing, Toyota's nanny state driver monitoring sensor located in the top and in front of the steering wheel. And while there's so much I can say about this thing that just made me crazy, I'm going to limit my response to just say it's vexing while underway, and I'll leave it at that. But I don't like it and couldn't shut it off. So here's the bottom line, and I need to explain this too. When I say it's a Toyota, I'm not being flip or dismissive. It's my shorthand for a vehicle that is designed, engineered, and manufactured in such a way to give years and thousands of miles of trouble-free motoring to the driver. My two main concerns with the BZ4X boil down to software, and that may be resolved in the future with an over-the-air update or two. Range and driver monitoring system. I know what will happen with the first one, as I've reported on Toyota's advanced battery development poised to go into production later this decade. Second issue, well, I'm hoping. The base manufacturer's suggested retail price for the 2024 Toyota BZ4X EV starts from $43,070 for the XLE front-wheel drive to $49,260 for the limited all-wheel drive. Destination charges add $1,395. And in the time, I've got a list mile long of equipment on this vehicle, but I will tell you this. I test drove a BZ4X limited all-wheel drive with $3,300 worth of options on it, with the total MSRP including options and destination charges coming at $53,914. This tiny home costs $35,000. Would you stay there? This is the Tech Mobility Show.
Do you listen to podcasts? Seems that most people do. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. If you've missed any of our weekly episodes on the radio, our podcast is a great way to listen. You can find the Tech Mobility Podcast just about anywhere you can enjoy podcasts. Be sure to follow us. From Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and many platforms in between, we are there. Just enter the Tech Mobility Podcast in the search bar wherever you listen to podcasts. Social media. It's the place to be, and we're no exception. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Several times a week, I post to TikTok several of the topics that I cover on my weekly radio show. It's another way to keep up on mobility, technology, news, and information. I've built quite a library of short videos for your viewing pleasure, so be sure to watch, like, and subscribe. That's the Tech Mobility Show on TikTok. Check it out.
Much continues to be discussed about housing affordability. While there are different solutions to address the lack of housing stock have been introduced in recent years, it seems that it's the tiny house concept that continues to grow, evolve, and even mutate. In this particular segment, we're talking about one that costs $35,000, and this tiny house is designed to avoid building permits. Is it safe? Would you stay there? This is topic B. They call it a micro house, and it is small. By comparison, building a backyard cottage can be expensive. In San Francisco Bay Area, for example, even a small accessory dwelling unit, an ADU, which is what they call it. We used to call those like an in-law's nook or in-law apartment, might cost more than $200,000, and getting permits can take months. It's something California is doing to try to alleviate a housing crisis by allowing homeowners to build these accessory dwelling units, either to rent out or whatever, to kind of make it cheaper so people can kind of live. This concept that I'm talking about here is called the micro house. A base model starts at $35,000 and is designed to avoid needing any permits at all. And they consider it the fastest housing solution in the world. It's factory built. And think about this. The size of the entire place is 120 square feet. Kind of about the size of an average New York apartment in Manhattan. Not much more. And this one is not intended for long-term housing. But somebody who wants to rent out space for an Airbnb for extra income, it's designed to be particularly easy to install. I'm going to stop right here because I've got pictures. And the first thing that comes to my mind is, how secure is this? How safe is this? The thing is small. How do I protect myself in a little bitty place like this from the outside world, whether it be weather, critters, other people? I mean, a home gives you some level of security. This thing is tiny. Did I mention 120 square feet? That is no space at all. You've got rooms in your apartment or your home that are bigger than that. I'm willing to bet your living room is bigger than that. But let's talk about this. First of all, the diminutive size means that in most jurisdictions, it's considered an accessory structure and doesn't require a permit. The company dug through regulations across the country to find ways for the design to avoid other features that would trigger a permit. Why all the emphasis on a permit? Permit means money, compliance, and drives the cost up, and it adds to the time. That's what this is. But on the flip side, okay, if you're not requiring a permit, which means you don't have an inspector, how do you know these things are being built safe? Because they're not being built to code. Code requires a permit. Wherever you're at, there's a code. There's a building code. These are not being built to code. What does that mean for somebody even temporarily staying there? These are questions that I ask. Let me continue. Unlike a typical house, it does not require a foundation, another factor that would normally require permitting. The startup uses an extra strong, fire-resistant polymer composite material for walls instead of typical wood construction. And there's a note in this article, and the note is that the founders previously used the same material in a startup called Passive Dorm that it began selling off-grid tiny houses in Europe. House.me spun off as a new company. The strength of the material means that it doesn't need a foundation for stability. The company says it's strong enough to withstand a Category 5 hurricane or earthquake. It's also strong enough that it's technically possible to stack another tiny house on top or carry a heavy load of snow. How's it do in flooding? That's my question. Flooding and wind. And again, I'm asking from a security standpoint, is it safe? It's so small, I don't feel safe in it. And I'm sorry, I can't explain that exactly. I just don't feel safe. There's not enough house around me for me to feel secure. And I'm not saying that if this was set up in somebody's backyard or somewhere that you would immediately not be safe. But very often our homes are a cocoon, are a sanctuary. And sanctuary has layers to it. You don't get to anybody. To get to your bedroom, you got to come through most of your house to get there. And if you've gotten that far, I heard you. I'm waiting for you when you get there. In this thing, you're there when you're there. Boom, right there. And that just makes me uncomfortable. I'm sure. And then something else I just thought about. Noise levels. How well does it block out ambient noise from outside? Particularly if you're living in a city. Or you're using one of these in a city or even in a country. How well does it screen out ambient noise from the outside? Questions I got, questions. It's built to be ultra efficient, so it uses little energy for heating, cooling, or lighting. A homeowner installing a micro house in their backyard can plug it in to an extension cord rather than needing a permit for a new electrical connection. I wonder how many amps this thing takes. Because it depends. Your typical circuit's a 20 amp circuit. Takes 10 amps, you're okay unless you've got something else on that circuit. And they don't get into that. Efficient appliances use little water and the house can be hooked up to a backyard hose. So basically, I have the equivalent of a small RV without the mobility, is what you're telling me. Like an RV, the tiny house has a sewage hose that can be connected to a black water tank or the city sewer system. It has large windows for natural light and curtains for privacy if it's built in a backyard. Again, how secure is it? Is my question. I'm not comfortable. For an extra $9,990, it's possible to go off-grid with solar panels, battery backup, a water tank, and a composting toilet. And note, many areas do have restrictions on composting toilets. If you're considering buying one of these, you'll have to research what's actually allowed where you live. So again, they tried, but you might have still, if you go do the upgrade, you might have stumbled across a permit. The startup also offers pricier versions of the same house. The basic version is designed for mild climates like California, so you'd have to pay more for extra installation if you have cold winters. A Pro option at $89,000 is built to be ready for use with everything from a Murphy bed and a kitchenette to internet and every other detail the guest would need, including towels. And separately, the company offers larger off-the-grid houses starting at $199,000, excuse me, and $399,000 that could serve as full-time homes. Okay, $89,000, and it's still not meant to live in. And you know full well at the Pro level, somebody's going to try to live in it. You know that's going to happen. When you start getting at $199,000, in a range of communities, you can buy a nice house in smaller communities in rural parts of the United States still for about that money, and maybe a little less. So now it's question. They build these houses in a factory in Southern California. They're planning to open a second factory in Florida. And delivering the house, depending how far away you are from the factory, can cost you thousands more depending on your location. So the actual installation process is simple. Truck comes to your backyard with a crane, unloads it, hooks it up in 15 minutes, and you're good. That's it. And again, I ask, how safe do you feel in a house that small? Questions. Despite all the chaos at Stellantis lately, they may be on track to actually introduce a game changer into several segments of the pickup truck market. We are the Tech Mobility Show.
To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. That's techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show. Did you know that Tech Mobility has a YouTube channel? Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Each week, I upload a few short videos of some of the hot topics that I cover during my weekly radio program. I've designed these videos to be informative and entertaining. It's another way to keep up on current mobility and technology news and information. Be sure to watch, like, and subscribe to my channel. That's the Tech Mobility Show on YouTube. Check it out.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than aonmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. aonmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
Social media is the place to be these days, and we're no exception. I'm Ken Chester of the Tech Mobility Show. If you enjoy my program, then you will also enjoy my weekly Instagram videos. From the latest vehicle reviews to timely commentary on a variety of mobility and technology-related topics, these short features are designed to inform and delight you. Be sure to watch, like, and follow us on Instagram. You can find us by typing the Tech Mobility Show in the search bar.
While the folks over at parent Stellantis may be in a state of turmoil, over at their Ram truck brand, there are a couple of new stablemates that quite possibly may be game changers in the marketplace. This is Topic C. Yes, I have beat up Stellantis quite a bit, and with the recent resignation of their CEO, only confirmed what I said the day that he actually got the job. That he bit off more than he could chew and he couldn't support all the brands. I also said there's no way that you can go to war with your senior management, your dealers, your suppliers, the unions that build your vehicles, and even the people who buy your vehicles and think it's going to be okay. And his board agreed with me. It wasn't okay, and he's out. However, there's a couple of things going on at Ram that if they make it to market, going to blow your socks off. Obviously, everybody's waiting for their new EV pickup. That's coming. And that's the Ram 1500 REV. But the one that I really want to talk about, not just that, because everyone's coming out with an electric pickup. What I want to talk about is two I want to touch on the midsize Ram pickup that they're going to build. And the one that I want to spend the most time talking about is what I think is the game changer, and that's going to be the 2025 Ram 1500 Ram Charger. Let me explain why I believe this is a game changer. First of all, let's talk about range. The way this thing is set up, it will have 690 miles of range. 690 miles. By comparison, the Ford F-150 hybrid, which is a hybrid, their range, 600 miles. Chevy Silverado EV, pure EV, their range, 450 miles. This thing comes to market with a range of almost 700 miles, but here's the beautiful part about the Ram Charger that really has got me excited, actually. The EV motor is the primary engine. The 3.6-liter V6 actually charges the batteries. Now think about this for a minute. It means that gasoline engine isn't running all the time. It means that when you fill it up with gasoline, it's a range extender. That if you never wanted to plug it in, and this is going to be a plug-in EV, you can still plug it in. But if you don't want to, you've got the gasoline engine that will recharge the batteries while you drive to keep the EV going. Think about that. The typical EV, has the batteries, and when the batteries get low, you got to recharge them. And in the early days, the electric, they called them mild hybrids because the electric motors came on to support the gasoline engines. Now, with the Ram Charger, it's reversed. The 3.6-liter V6 actually charges the batteries. That is its job. That's all it does. It is still an EV. You can argue maybe even a hybrid, but not in the traditional sense. This is the game changer. 690 miles. Every Ram 1500 Ram Charger comes equipped with dual electric motors, good for an output of 663 horsepower and 615 foot-pounds of torque. For those of y'all that are keeping score there in the Stellantis world, you know that a charger, a gasoline charger, Hellcat, had an output of 707 horsepower. So this thing's almost as powerful as a Hellcat. The battery, interestingly enough, is actually a smaller battery than you would find in the Hummer by GMC. That's over 100 kilowatt hours. This one's 92 kilowatt battery, and it will provide 140 miles of all-electric driving range by itself. And that the Ram Charger can replenish with a 400-volt DC fast charging at a maximum rate of 145 kilowatts. And if you do that, you should have 50 miles of all-electric range in approximately 10 minutes. However, you can also just simply fill up the gas tank and allow the truck's 3.6-liter V6 to power the onboard 130 kilowatt generator, which in turn can charge the battery or power the wheels. In other words, you've got choices. For the first time, you got choices. You can say either I will take the extra power from the motor and the electric motors and the gasoline engine, or I can just run with the EV style and let the gasoline motor recharge the batteries, turn in the generator, recharge the batteries as I roll, meaning I never have to plug it in if I don't want to. That's the cool part. That's the part that's got me excited. And did I mention 690 miles of range? The reason why I'm really excited about that is I've always said that the tipping point for me to own a vehicle, an EV, I need 450 miles. I live in the upper Midwest. You get in a car to go anywhere, you're driving 20 miles. Anywhere. You add in the bitter cold we've got up here and extreme heat we've got up here, and that's going to sap battery life either in extreme middle of the summer and extreme dead of winter. So having that extra range helps. Now let me get some numbers because I want to blow your mind on towing if I can find it, but it was a big number. Here it is. 14,000 pounds, 7 tons with the let's see, and you've got a cargo capacity or a cargo weight or payload on the Ram 1500 Ram Charger, just over 2,625 pounds, which is a little bit less, 75 pounds less than the straight up EV pickup that's coming. It's 2,700. But both of them will do 7 tons, will tow 7 tons. Did I mention 690 miles? Think about this. If I'm towing something in the middle of decent ambient temperature, and let's say I'm towing at full range, I'm towing 7 tons on a long trip. Let's say I lose a third of the mileage. Okay, I lose a third. I still have over 400 miles. And I just kick in the gasoline engine to do its thing. So I don't even have to stop. That's the beautiful part about it. It gets around what the naysayers said, yeah, I never own an EV because you're always going to stop and charge it. In the minute I've got left, let me throw this out. They have not named the midsize Ram pickup truck, but, quote, they said, the chassis that it's going to ride on will surprise us, they say. And they're looking at building that out in the future, and they already have interest from 30,000 people who want to own this thing. And information's kind of sketchy. We don't know what it's going to do just yet, but it's coming. And they've been looking to replace it since the Dakota went out of production back in 2014. The midsize Ram pickup truck will surprise us. That is the word. And I can hardly wait. But again, that Ram Charger, if you're going to buy an EV pickup truck, that's the one you want to buy. We have come to the end of our visit. Be sure to join me again next time right here. This has been the Tech Mobility Show.
The Tech Mobility Show is a copywritten production of Tech Mobility Productions, Incorporated. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or any other use is prohibited without the written consent of Tech Mobility Productions, Incorporated.
For those of you that listen to podcasts, we have just the one for you. Hi, I'm Ken Chester. Tech Mobility Topics is a podcast where I upload topic-specific videos each week. Shorter than the full show, these bite-sized programs are just the thing, particularly if you're interested in a particular topic covered on the weekly radio show. From Apple Podcast to iHeartRadio and many podcast platforms in between, we got you covered. Just enter Tech Mobility Topics in the search bar wherever you listen to podcasts. Social media. It's the place to be, and we're no exception. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Several times a week, I post to TikTok several of the topics that I cover on my weekly radio show. It's another way to keep up on mobility, technology, news, and information. I've built quite a library of short videos for your viewing pleasure, so be sure to watch, like, and subscribe. That's the Tech Mobility Show on TikTok. Check it out. To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. That's techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show. Do you listen to podcasts? Seems that most people do. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. If you missed any of our weekly episodes on the radio, our podcast is a great way to listen. You can find the Tech Mobility Podcast just about anywhere you can enjoy podcasts. Be sure to follow us. From Apple Podcasts to iHeartRadio and many platforms in between, we are there. Just enter the Tech Mobility Podcast in the search bar wherever you listen to podcasts.